Hello. Oh my god, my Jason Momoa poster. Take 2. Hello. Take 3. Take 7. I have been feeling really uninspired to film videos lately. I just miss 2013 when I could whip out my phone, put it on something, and just sit down and talk about nothing for 20 minutes. Rather than like whipping out a camera and like making it be super official. I'm just gonna revert back to my old ways of when I have an idea, I'm just gonna sit down, literally record on my phone, and do it. And right now I've got beautiful sunset lighting. Like I want to rename my channel like Sunset Reviews. Isn't this nice? Maybe you'll hate the lines across my face this whole video, but in that case I recommend switching off the video and just listening to me. Because today I just want to keep it simple, keep it juicy, and do a book review for A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. I know book reviews aren't really a thing on BookTube anymore, but that's like our origin story. And I saw a tweet that was like, I think book reviews are gonna make a re-entrance in 2020. And I'm trying to push that energy in the world. Let's review those books, kids. Before I lose all my sunlight, let's just hop into it. So this book is a 700-page tome. It is adult fiction and it follows a friend group that all met one another in college. They graduate from school and then they move all together to New York. So in this friend group, there's Malcolm, who wants to be an architect, and he's working at this architect firm and living with his parents because he's more well off than his peers. There's JB, who wants to be an artist, and he is very unwise with his emotions and he's acts very quickly. There's Willem, who is kind of the caretaker of the group, the mom friend, if you will. He's trying to be an actor, and so he's like working as a waiter and trying to act. And then there is Jude, who is the most troubled one of the group. He has a really tough backstory that no one has really been able to coax out of him. They just know that he's had a really rough go at life and he's still affected by the trauma, and he's physically disabled because of things that have happened in his past. He has really messed up legs and his spine always gives him episodes. And it follows all 4 of those friends, but I would say mainly Jude and a little bit Willem. So this chronicles about 3 decades after they graduate college and talks about where each of those people go, specifically centered on Jude and how he has internalized everything that's happened to him since he was really little, and how that builds and the way that it shapes his experiences and the way that he lives and the way that he, in a very Stephen Chbosky-esque way, like we accept the love we think we deserve. And so it goes into his life a lot more in depth. And I think that's the barest of synopses I can give you without actually being like, okay, in the first 200 pages this happens, in the second 200 pages this happens. So we'll leave it at that. Long story short, I give this book a full 5 stars. I'll just say, yes, it was long. Yes, it was exhausting. I was reading this for like 2 weeks. I would tweet people and be like, I'm not loving it. It could be better. It's a little slow. It's really long. Then I got to the middle section of it. Then I got to the end of it. And the way that things wrapped up pushed it to that full 5-star rating and just made it everything. So going into it, I would say it's not slow, but the writing style is an adjustment because it can be lengthier sentences. I will say overall the writing style isn't my favorite ever. Like I would maybe put Donna Tartt a little bit above her. I'm currently reading Toni Morrison, so reading Toni Morrison, I'm like, okay, this person is a master at their craft. I wasn't loving this writing per se, but it was really pretty. I used to think it was an insult to call writing like average, but there's truly like not a whole ton special about this to me. I would say the story stands out more than the writing. This is a very slow build of a book, if you can imagine, for 700 pages, but it's one of those books where it's worth it because you've seen these characters over decades. One instance from when they're 23 will impact how they see each other and the way that they operate when they're 40, which makes it seem like it's a book where like in the beginning if something important happens but then you forget about it, the ending of the book will be ruined for you because you don't remember the beginning of the book because it's so long. But this book did not do that to me. I like to call myself a stupid reader. I will forget things, I will mix up characters, I will like completely not be able to guess stuff. But this book actually kept it really easy and packaged for me to be able to take each section and remember things, and it builds upon those previous events, and it's just really clever the way that this book is formulated. formatted. There's 5 sections, each with 3 subsections, and the first and the last section are titled the same thing. So it does that thing I love where it comes full circle, and just the way that it was sectioned off itself made it really easy to read. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm just a fan of like the consistent numbering of the different chapters. So I enjoyed that. The thing that will mainly stick with me with this book is just how much it made me cry. You really get to love the characters because, I mean, you're there with them for 700 pages, and Jude as the main character is just someone you sympathize with so much. I will place like huge trigger warnings on this book, especially for self-harm, sexual abuse, physical violence, like almost anything you could name I would place a trigger warning for, because this book is very emotionally heavy. I don't think I was ready for how graphic this book is. Like, if you've read Ninth House, people were really hyping up Ninth House as Ninth House being really graphic, and that really didn't jar me as much as this book did. And I'm not trying to compare those two at all, but like if you've read Ninth House, it's kind of a jumping off place for this. Is this book is really dark, and because those things only start happening to the character or being revealed about him once you're like 400 pages into the book, you get to know how much he doesn't deserve it, and so that just makes it that much more hurtful. And that's what made me cry so much, is I'm just sitting here like, this character is the sweetest and the best and like does not deserve this. And the whole dramatic irony of he knows what's going on but he won't tell anyone, so you see his friends and his doctor around him like not being able to help him to full effect because he's not letting them in, and it's infuriating but so sad. I just love Jude so much. This is definitely, I wouldn't even put this book in like a melancholy category because I love books that are melancholy and just really dreary mood, but this book is like dark. I think it's moved past melancholy, and it wasn't unenjoyable, it was just really different than how I was expecting it. It was still so easy to read. Like, it's not easy to read, but it was so engaging to read, and you were rooting so much for this character. One night I remember I couldn't sleep, and I literally read this book from midnight to 5 a.m. and then woke up for work at 7 a.m. I just couldn't put it down once I got into the groove of it in the middle. I fell in love with the characters, Willem and Jude, and like the friend group, the parental figures that you meet, and just like everything coming together for this character. It's really difficult to talk about how it affected me and like how each different part added something onto the story without revealing what that is. So I kind of have to leave the ending vague just so you're not sort of keyed into what I was not expecting happened. But yeah, the ending is astonishingly sad. But I'm kind of upset with myself because I did that thing where I read a really climactic part of a book in like a setting where I wasn't completely focused. Like, I was at my parents' house, there were TVs, people were talking, and I just read this sentence that changes the entire story, and I'm like, I'm not in the mood to read this. Like, I need to be in bed, in my jammies, like fully ready to cry, and I just wasn't. So obviously it didn't ruin my experience of the full book because I still gave it a full 5 stars, but I definitely finished this book while laying on the couch and sobbing for a full hour straight just because it's what my body needed. It was also the day before my period started, so it was just a really cathartic moment for my entire body. But really, in the last 100 pages, the length of this book really pays itself off because you get to see the end of all these storylines and why everything happened, and all the parts of the book that were left suspended so that you could discover them at the end. It was really satisfying to finally know why all these pieces fell into place, even though it was really rough and hard and sad to read. I kept on going back and forth with, I don't know if this is going to be a hopeful book or if this is going to be a book that leaves me so unsettled and so unsatisfied that like I'll want to rewrite my own ending. But truly, it left me in a place where like it made sense for those characters, and that's really all I can say without going further into it to spoil it. But it was just unexpected for me as a reader, but I loved it. It's sad, and I don't know what else to say because everyone who's read it knows what I'm talking about. And if you haven't, you should read it and find out. And I know you're gonna buy it and it's gonna sit on your shelf for 5 years like mine did, or you're gonna use it as a doorstop in college like I did. But I feel so bad that I did that, and I want to iron out all these wrinkles because this deserves a high place on my shelf. I enjoyed it so much. I don't feel like I said a lot of negative stuff about this. It was just such a slow build, just such a climactic ending that if you're not feeling it for like 300 pages, just keep going, and the ending is what's gonna make you be like, that's it, Full 5 stars, Pulitzer Prize. I think this book was shortlisted for the Man Booker, and that makes sense to me because it is very deserving of its praise. All right, my sunset has evaded me. It's getting slowly and slowly darker. Maybe this wasn't the best quality video to film at this time of day, but at least I did something. Hope you enjoyed. All in all, I would definitely recommend this book. It's a time commitment. I know I'm like 4 books behind on my Goodreads challenge now because of it, but I do not regret reading it, and I cannot wait to read more of this author's stuff. Or if you have any other books that are kind of the same vibe as this, again, it's not like melancholy, but it's just like heavy, sad character study books. That's my jam. I'd love to hear those recommendations. Let me know how you thought about this book, or if you haven't read it, if you're looking forward to reading it, what you've been reading lately. I don't know, just talk to me. My cats are getting needier and needier, so I'm gonna go feed my gremlins. Hope you're having a wonderful life. Bye. Say goodbye. Oh.